Welcome to the Kiwi Mana Bay. Hi, Gary. Lovely to have you here with this new thing that we're doing called the Q&A.
Yes, this is episode 143 of our beekeeping show. We are Gary
and Margaret.
We are Kiwi Mana, and Kiwi Mana are beekeepers from the hills of the Waitaki Ranges on the wild west coast of Auckland in the North Island of New Zealand.
Yes, we build and sell beekeeping equipment and bees, provide beekeeper services and education. Every new subscriber that joins our free beekeeping newsletter is asked, what's your biggest beekeeping problem?
And in this show, we endeavour to answer some of your burning questions. Okay, the show notes for this podcast are kiwi.bz/143. And thanks for joining us. We appreciate that you've taken the time to listen. And the show has been made with the help of our supporters.
Awesome. So, what are we starting with there, Gary?
Okay, the first question is finding bees. First up, a couple of questions about how to obtain bees. And the first question from David Workman says, catching a swarm as I cannot afford to purchase them. I want to do a top bar. I have the hive built and made a swarm trap box with Swarm Commander lure, but nothing yet. And the other one just says from Tony, simply obtaining bees. So my idea is swarm trapping. I think it's a good idea. And as you said, use the lure. If you can't get Super Swarm Commander, you can get lemongrass oil. And people have had success with that. Another thing is people have had success with putting a bit of brood in there, eh? What's your suggestion about swarm trapping?
I've seen people use swarm lures up in a tree, like they've set up a pulley system so that they can put the swarm box or nuke box or whatever box they choose to use, that they can just attach to some pulley system and it will pull it up into the tree, because generally bees do like to go quite high. I've heard that people use sometimes old bee frames, but generally that ends up with just feeding bees and then they bugger off. But lemongrass oil, is that something you've mentioned?
Yes, it is, yep.
Yeah, so I guess this is one of the cheapest ways to get a colony. The times you'll do it is probably in spring or a little bit into when the temperatures are warmer. And you could add yourself to a swarm list, like we set up a swarm catchers list for local beekeepers. You could approach local councils and get your name put in there for catching swarms, and hopefully their customer service people will be able to help you, which is what we did, eh? We started out.
Absolutely. And you also check with your local beekeeping club or association. They may have a swarm list as well.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
But if you're in New Zealand, check out our swarm list. And also the other thing I was going to say is Michael Jordan, we interviewed him about his swarm lure, which would probably be a really good podcast to do because he talks about the best way to place them and how to do them. And I'll put a link in the show notes to that podcast.
Awesome. I think the other thing is too that you can buy them from local people. You could get bees from local breeders, and the bonus of getting bees from local breeders is that they generally should be well suited to your local climate.
Okay, next question is getting ready for winter. This comes from Marie. How to prepare, her biggest question is how to prepare a hive for winter. We gathered a swarm on Christmas Day to start our hive, which up till then has been a decoration in the garden. As my late father was an apiarist and I grew up with bees but didn't take a great deal of interest in them. Well, I hope they've been treated for mites at this stage of the year, eh?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Is this person in New Zealand?
We don't know.
Okay. Well, the assumption, if you're getting a swarm on Christmas Day, it could well be that it is in a warmer country.
I would say that assumption is correct.
Yeah. So I think that you have to understand what's going on in your local area. So you have to know what pests threats there are. So you need to be aware of that. That helps you with setting up the hive properly. For example, in where we live, we get a lot of rain, so we have our hives on hive stands. That's part of our preparation on how you set up where you put them, how you locate them. You want a sunny spot. You don't want them to get damp. You also want to understand the threats that they may be facing, so you have to deal with that accordingly. If they are in a country where there's Varroa, then you really do want to understand how to deal with Varroa. And one of the things we've talked a lot about is time. You need time to manage them. If you're learning, you need to go in there. Sounds like Marie needs to actually learn what is actually in the hive, and learn what she's looking at. And we do have some work that we've done on how to assess the art of setting up a bee colony.
Yeah, it's a shame your father's passed away. You could have asked him, but yeah, you've got to really learn quite quickly. I mean, we're coming into May now, so yeah, May will be over now, but we'll see. Yeah, we did a blog called How to Prepare Your Beehives for Winter.
The art, beekeeping.
Yeah, sorry, the art, which is assess, record, rearrange, reduce and treat. So people should be at the treat stage now, eh?
Definitely.
We'll include a link in the show notes to this amazing article by Margaret about how to prepare a hive for winter. Why's it got me written there?
Don't know, you stole it. Bloody stealing my intellectual property. How dare they?
I'll get that changed for you.
No worries. I mean, to be honest, it's the idea of that was the art of beekeeping. So you might need to edit that to be correct. And, there are lots of different ways to prepare a hive for winter. The thing that you need to understand is that when they're coming into winter, you want them to have lots of food. And the best food for bees is their own honey. Oh, that was a great intro to this one. This is all about wasps, And Joseph says, "Wasps robbed and killed my bees last summer. I have to start all over. I ordered 2 families and want to keep them safe from wasps." Okay, this is a good question. And firstly, what I do is when a hive fails or are supposedly dead or die or whatever, I always do analysis. So when you have situations occurring in a hive, you must always understand that if you're using the same gear and you want to set up a new hive, you must know that that hive is disease-free. I think that's my first and foremost, because generally wasps will not attack a healthy and strong colony.
Yes, so you're saying that when this guy when he gets the new families or the new colonies, he's got to make sure the hive boxes are clean, aren't they?
Clean as a whistle, and understand how his hive might have got weak in the first instance for them to be robbed out by wasps.
Yeah, because a strong hive can probably defend against wasps, eh?
Generally. And so what we're looking at is setting up some measures that will help you to do that. So the first thing is getting rid of the threat that exists. So you would check around your property and see if you have any wasp nests. So try to eradicate any wasp nests that you find. The other thing is make sure your gear is disease-free, and then go start setting them up. So wasps, we use methods like having the hives up off the ground. Generally in our area we find wasps generally frequent close to the ground, but then just fly up to the front of the hive. So what we have done is we've created a product called the robbing screen. And the robbing screen actually just gives the girls, it's like a screen that's attached to the front of the hive, which is made from wood and mesh. And it's just there for the girls to have sort of a fenced front yard where they can manage that area. So we do have an article about robbing screens, and that product is available on our website when it's available. But, some of the pictures, some people make them themselves, but it definitely is a great idea, eh?
Yeah, but why would you make them yourselves when you can buy them from Kiwimana?
That's a very good point. But we have used them over several years. We use them year round, and we have it set so that you can have for different seasons, you can have different access available to them. So there is an article that I'm doing at the moment that's about those things. And the other thing is keep your hive really strong. Feed them good honey, their own honey. keep them healthy by making sure that they are free of varroa if you've got varroa or any other pest threat that might weaken them. So the ideal thing with wasps is keeping your hive strong, having a robbing screen. Sometimes in winter people don't have anything on the front of their hive, and during the cold the bees will move up, and sometimes that makes the access or the entrance very vulnerable because they're trying to get away from moisture or wetness down on the bottom. So that's why we lift our hives up as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, and at the minimum, you've got to reduce your entrance, eh?
Especially, reduce entrance. I find I'm doing an article about that too, which relates to that.
Look forward to those articles.
Robbing screen versus reduced entrance. So that article will be coming out, and then, you can make up your mind on how you want to deal with that and why we would recommend a screen rather than just entrance reduction. So first thing, make sure the gear you're putting your new bees in is disease-free. Analyse the situation that occurred before the wasps attacked your hive, and then keep them healthy. Yep,
and also, and the robbing screen, protect the entrance, eh?
Yep.
Okay, another thing, we talked about this in the interview with John Barry, is Vespex is quite a popular product in New Zealand. We personally haven't tried it, but a lot of people have had great success with it.
That's used in the eradication of wasps and is protein-based, isn't it?
It is, and it's got a pyrethroin, I think. It's fipronil, I think, isn't it? I think, from memory. But you could look at, if you Google Vespex, you can find out about that. That's another solution if you've got a lot of wasps in your area.
You do have to be licensed to use this product. So if you can find a group of people that want to join together, because you have to buy quite a bit. So maybe if there's a group of you, one of you can do the course and then they can train everyone else to do use the product or something. Then, you're all saving a bit of money, I think.
Yep, good idea. Okay, the next question is from Alan. He's got aggressive bees. What to do if you don't want to change the queen? It could be the environment, couldn't it? It could be animals attacking the hive, like a raccoon or a possum is worrying the hive at night. That could be an idea.
Yeah, Alan, this is a really good question because we often think that it's a breed of bee that's more aggressive, and in the term of the Africanized bee, I think they are very aggressive. But in terms of bees, just, European honeybees or something, like Gary said, that there is a chance there's a risk going on or a threat happening to them. It could be that they are under attack. It could be they're trying to raise a queen, so they're very protective of the hive. It could be that they are thirsty. That's one of the things I found, that with some bees, when they're thirsty, they're grumpy.
Yes, as am I sometimes.
Yeah. So, with this kind of situation, what we've done recently is we have worked a hive that acts rather aggressively, and there's some methods that we use. The first one is when you're approaching the hive, you don't just walk straight up to them and go to their entrance. That can be considered a threat. So the recommendation is to approach the beehive from behind and or to the side rather than go straight up to the entrance. The other thing is to have perhaps a water bottle with that you can spray a fine mist like you would on plants or something, and use that in the front of the hive, which is what we did the other day, and it definitely calmed the bees down.
Yes, and the other thing to think about is, you didn't mention if you use a smoker. Yes, smoke the bees a little bit, about 2 minutes before you open the hive, just to get that smoke in the hive. That's another good idea, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so, but I think a lot of beginners use too much smoke if they're panicking. So the idea is that as you get to know your colony, have a way of approaching them. Because what I do when I approach my bees is I will walk to the side. I won't go straight through to the front. I will just walk to the side of the hive. I will give them a little smoke, as you said, Gary, and I will wait a minute, and then I tap twice on each box. And I do that every time so that the bees know that I'm coming in. And it does seem to make a difference.
It sounds like witchcraft to me, the tapping thing.
Well, I guess I'm coming into their house, so I'm knocking on the door.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I think they will begin to understand that it may sound like witchcraft.
Okay, the other thing I suggest that if you've got aggressive bees and you're living in a suburban area, you might want to consider moving them to another area because you may become unpopular with your neighbours.
That's right.
Okay, let's move on. Okay, this is from Peter in Kawerau. He's saying, do you have trouble with Tutin in Kawerau? Well, personally, I don't, because I don't live there, but it may be. The only way to really check is to get it tested, isn't it, Margaret?
Yeah, I think that with Tutin, it's a pretty clear-cut thing that you should get it scientifically checked for your area once you've done your extractions. And the best extraction to use for Tutin testing is the one that you've done after the deadline. So that's after the from the 1st of January is really the law, especially if you're going to sell it.
Yes, absolutely. And the best places we've found is Hills Laboratories or Analytica. They're both good labs in New Zealand, aren't they?
Yeah, both used in the Tutin testing process. You can talk to some of the local bee clubs if you've got some bee clubs around and ask them what the risks are. And some of the bee clubs will do group testing, so it's a little cheaper.
Yes, absolutely. Yep, thanks, Peter, for your question.
Awesome.
Wiki. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's too cool for this question. Eh?
Oh, I don't know. Chris is a pretty cool guy.
No,
What?
It's a cool music, but it's about government madness.
Oh, that's right. This is about government madness. The State Apiary Inspection Service requires residents to sign a Best Management Requirement BMR form in Florida that states that feral bees and feral colonies will be requeened with a queen of European honey genetics. Even if the swarm feral colony is not Africanized, has gentle European genetics, we need to stop killing queens that have European honeybee genetics in feral colonies in swarms. Hopefully the best management requirement will be reviewed in Florida soon and get changed to help encourage survivor stock of European honeybee genetics to remain in our environment. And this comes from Chris Stadler, he's an environmental scientist, obviously in Florida. Well, it's not really, that's his biggest problem at the moment. So his biggest problem is bureaucracy.
Yeah, and there's not a lot you can do about red tape. I mean, the thing is that they're trying to stop something that will be quite difficult. I mean, if they get mated queens might be the best way to do that. They're just saying that you just have queens, but he needs to state that they should be mated queens with the European genetics rather than just having queens, because if they go out and mate, they're going to mate with what's around, and if there's Africanized bees around, they'll mate with them. So if the government want to do this, then I think they should be helping produce these queens which are already mated.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think his point is that if the colony is not Africanized and it's a gentle hive, why are they killing the queens, just as a matter of fact?
Oh, I see what you mean, yeah. That's a good point, and I've always wondered why people keep killing queens. What the hell is that all about? I mean, queens, some of the second-year queens, and we've heard some people of noted experience express that second-year queens are some of the best queens. They have great production. You can do a split from them, and they carry on working just like normal, and honey production is huge.
Yeah. But good point, Margaret. If they're going to replace them, they have to make sure they are from a European stock, don't they?
And if the government want to place this rule, then they should be helping make it happen.
Yep, that's our opinion, Chris. So, yeah, hopefully that works out for you.
Yeah, all the best with that one. Thanks for listening. And thanks to all our supporters who support us through the Patreon application. And today we'd like to say thanks to
Lisa Morrissey,
Nathan Buzzinger Beekeeping,
Christopher Brown,
Barbara Weber, Greg Parr, and Trish Stretton. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
We hope that you enjoyed our first Q&A show, and we're looking forward to having many more as we go along. And yeah, if you've got a question, please get in touch. But if you too love what we do and you found something useful, we'd really love if you could help us and help us produce some more content. So we offer you the benefits of a warm heart so you will sleep better at night knowing that you are helping the beekeeping community. And we also do other things with the support that we get, making videos and blog posts, and also looking after the beekeeping Facebook forums that we run. So why not join us today at
kiwi.bz/banana. That'd be awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, that's our ideas for the questions this month. So we hope you enjoyed this first Q&A show. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with a new show for you. And if you can add to the conversation as well, or you have some opinions about those questions, please leave a comment on the show notes at kiwi.bz/143.
So if you've got a question buzzing around in your head, get in touch.
Yes, and the way you get in touch to be on the Q&A show is go to kiwi.bz/problem. And that's it. So thanks for joining us this week, Margaret.
Oh, thanks for joining us this week, Gary. Yeah, no, it's great, guys, and keep it coming, and yeah, we'll keep it coming back at ya.
Yep, when we get enough questions, we'll have another show. Cheers, guys.
See ya.
Cup of tea and a movie?
Yeah.
Okay.